ready. Hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos. Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you all lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want to go.
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Ladies and gentlemen, it's Christmas Eve. Welcome to the show. That's a new intro. I've still got that new countdown music in my head, so I'm still doing a little dance. The eagle-eyed viewers of you amongst us out there will have noticed that we're only a threesome this evening. What a Christmas present for you. But hang on. Who's this? We've got somebody ringing in. I'm hoping it's Ash. Let's see who it is. Oh, my God!
Hello!
Oh my God, it's the real Santa!
You better believe it, sweet cheeks.
You better believe it, sweet cheeks. That's where Santa's gone. That's what he's saying.
That's what he says. That's Santa's catchphase. That's his well-known catchphase.
That's what he says. He shouts
Ho, ho,
about
ho.
home. Yeah. And you better believe it, sweet cheeks. That's lovely. Santa, I'm really happy you're here because, I live far away, and I was hoping that you knew I'd moved house. Jot that down. And I wanted to give you a list of things that I wanted for Christmas. So I'm going to want a Tamagotchi, specifically a pink one, Furby, one of them little robot butlers. In fact, get me a full-on, but like what was that was it Humans where they had the house robots? Get me one of them.
Is this your list from the 90s, Daniel?
Yes, it is. I'm going to want Saracen and Shadow from the Gladiators toys because they never turned up once I sent away from them on the Rice Krispies. Going to want them. And a skateboard.
Oh. I'll have to check my list to see if you're nice or naughty, Daniel. So let me have a look. Sorry, you're on the naughty list. It says
I am shooketh, Santa.
Top of the list. It says here you made a video of Cameron Dawson one time, highlighting all of his unique qualities.
He started it. He's leaving me shitty reviews on the internet, Santa. Sorry. Anyway, I'm done with you, Santa. I'll tell you what. Listen, if you can find our mate Ash, I'll, all will be forgiven. But F Cameron Dawson, and and I hope you have a lovely Christmas, Cam. Santa, get out. Yeah, I've got football to talk about. See you later. He's gone. Actual Santa there. Joining me tonight, I've got Charlie and I've got festive Charlie and I've got Stevie. Charlie, if you're watching on the internet, Charlie has gone with a backdrop of your nan's 80s Christmas decorations all behind her. And apparently she was telling us offline, actual holly in the background.
Real holly. Not holly of the pod. Holly. Like spiky. Right there.
Spiky holly.
Spiky holly.
That also sounds like Holly from the pod after she's had a few Jaeger bombs. Stevie, welcome to the show. You all right? How is it going?
I am all good, mate. I'm all good. It's great to see Santa, wasn't it? All about
yeah, it's not too shabby. I tell you,
the kids will be absolutely wired.
They will be wired when they hear about what he was talking about. And I tell you what, as well, Ash, he's going to be gutted.
Tell you what, sorry, guys.
Listen.
I was wrapping my presents and lot.
You'll never guess who we're here. You'll never guess who you've just missed.
Barry Bannon.
Well, he had a beard.
You were too busy playing volleyball.
It was the real Santa. He was here.
Get out.
No, he was. I'm serious, for reals.
Yeah,
I live from the North Pole and everything, Ash.
We're good and get some guests on, but we're not that good, surely.
we should have done a hello from the other side with him or something, shouldn't we? Like, you know what I mean? Wednesday playing North Pole in a pre-season friendly. Ashley, welcome to the show. You all right, pal? How was your weekend? Decent, yeah?
Oh, yes. Not too bad, my good man. Not too bad at all.
Did you get dragged to IKEA or something or anything like that? Because I've noticed on Twitter X that a few times when there's an early kickoff, I find that there's a load of like blokes who've been to the football and then get dragged off to B&Q in the afternoon. They start complaining about it. It's one of my new favourite things. What have they been dragged off to do after the football, or have the proper dads gone for a drink?
It's not really the time of year for IKEA, is it? It's not really flat pack furniture. It's usually obviously Christmas stuff, isn't it? Unless you're going to buy someone a 3-drawer bedside table for Christmas. I don't know.
I tell you what, Chaz, you're the youngest of this one here. What's this trend over the last few years that I keep seeing of people buying scratch cards for people? Now, I know it's a cheap, easy gift, but if I gave somebody and they won 50 G's, I'd be raging.
Yeah, I'd be fuming. You also
I had
get
it in my hand and went, here you are.
Literally, people do it as well. I'm outing myself here as a big, massive nerd.
Go
But
team.
like people will buy like Pokemon cards and stuff as well as like a little present. But if you opened it and pulled like a £200 card and you knew you'd held that in your hand and you're just giving it away for like a Secret Santa, that's crazy. I would never be generous. Never.
Hang on. Let me make a note of that. Charlie, massive nerd. I mean, that's new information to us, isn't it, lads? We didn't know that.
Don't clip that.
My outlaws, they in the crackers, they put the pound scratch cards in the crackers. So at dinner, everyone pulls you all, get a scratch card, and I think they've done it for like, I've been married 20 years now, so they've done it for over 20 years. And I don't think anyone's won. I think the dodgy ones.
Yeah, that's how they get you. And that, ladies and gents, was tonight's Hot Topic.
Jesus,
you've got to stay on your toes. It's allowed on that one.
A warning. Can you please do a warning? Because
I love the way that I have to make a graphic to warn people about the upcoming graphic. I'm a big fan of that. But we'll get to today's hot topic, and we might have a return of the rumour mill, depending on what we get talking about. However, early kickoff, lunchtime, Stoke are in absolute freefall right now. Sheffield Wednesday are at home to the Potters, and I tell you what, it weren't too bad. Actually, it was bloody dreadful, because that's what we'll do when we get into it. Now, Ashley, I'm reading your notes. Oh, hang on, let's get... Okay, and I've not proofread them again, so this is going to be banter. But what we'll do, we'll get first into it. Chaz, before we get to this game, again, I've forgotten it again. I think I could make a montage of me forgetting to do this bit. Don't forget, if you are watching this live, don't forget to get involved in the comments out there in internet webland. We've also had a couple there already. We've got Father Ashmus, people accusing you of being the actual Santa Smash.
What? No.
Although we've also got Santa's a Wendy.
I don't know how they get that. We're totally different people. I mean, look at me. I'm young, handsome, and I've got a little bit of a beard and blue and white hat, of course. Santa's got the wrong colours on for me. So.
Yep. And I've also got Cheers Down Kids crying now. What did I do? Chaz, how did you think it was going to go against Stoke? We've been on 8 minutes. Let's talk about some football.
I had very low hopes, as low as I ever go.
Really?
I'm painfully optimistic. So I was like, our home form's been poor, and I thought if there was ever a really dull, dreadful 1-1 coming up, it was going to be against Stoke. Like a team that on paper, like we should have been able to beat at home on a really blustery day just before Christmas. I was like, this has got really crap game written all over it. So I must admit my expectations were low. I was not full of the Christmas cheer ahead of this game at all.
Stevie, Stoke were in absolute bloody free fall. And speaking to the geezer on Hello from the other side that week, I'm surprised that video didn't end up with 2 ankles just swinging from the top of this square. The poor geezer just bummed me out, like Christ Almighty. I'm gonna get the lineup up. I think I went for a steam cyberpunk type of look for the lineup. Owl here he goes. Got some fancy boots on. We've got Beadle, Valerie, Bernard, Iorfa, Mike Slow, Johnson, Shea Charles, Bannon, captain, Gassama, Windass, Smith, and the bench. No Paul Valentin, and a mystery illness, Stevie.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened, and I'll be honest, I've not sort of looked or heard too much about it. But one of the first comments when we got to the ground was, "We've only named 8 substitutes." And I'd seen it. I was travelling, had a couple of bits with my sister picking me up late because she's worse with timekeeping than I am. So when we got down to the ground, it was literally a job of getting straight in and straight up. But when you'd seen the lineup, no Valentin, no Palmer, there were 1 or 2 others missing as well, weren't there? No Ingleson. And there were sort of rumblings as to what might have been happening. And then it quickly transpired that there'd been some sort of illness going around the squad from... maybe the Christmas do midweek.
Christmas do, and that's why Sheffield Wednesday couldn't name a full bench. The rumour mill.
You started that rumour, not me.
That is the podcast equivalent of saying allegedly. You know what I mean? So hang on, let's get into it. Christ, this is already fun. I'm enjoying myself. We've had Santa. It's all been happening. We've also, actually, I tell you what, I want you to do the comments for me, but there was a great one from Slappy here, Ash, that said 3 wise men and an angel. Slappy's a liar, isn't he?
I know.
Who's who?
Charlie doesn't look like a wise man. I'm the angel, obviously.
Obviously. Now, where are we? What's happening? Football. Ashley, your notes. Let's get into it. First half. I feel like me not proofreading these is always going to be an issue. So here we go, Ash. I'm going to read the first one verbatim for you. 12-minute first bit of meaningful action on a blustery early kickoff at S6. I love that you have time at work to write these. Sees Beeler with an uncharacteristic long ball from a kick off the ground, especially in these conditions. Finds the header Kassam, who nods it down to Windass, who takes one touch and then styles his shot towards goal, but it's straight at the Viking in the Stoke goal. Good effort.
Well, I think I've found a new niche. I think for
I was going to say.
I mean, we do a lot of stuff. Why not add something else to it?
I enjoy it. I mean, all right, yep. Windass took one shot, smashed it towards goal, and then the second one, you've gone 22nd, an outswinging corner by my new Bay Charles. Sorry, George, you'll always be number one. That's Byers, not Hurst. Finds Smith Igno in the box, volley from 12 yards. It's the ground straight to the arms of the Viking. Ash.
I think it's self-explanatory. I mean, look, the conditions were awful, weren't they? Absolutely awful, and you could see it once. I think I saw a long kick by Beadle, and ball bounced, and I think it, like, with the wind took it, it diverted about 5 yards the opposite direction, and it was just awful. So, I mean, we weren't going to see the free-flowing, lovely football on display that we've seen at Hillsborough for never.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard. It's going to be hard to be overcritical of the first half of football, but I mean, we did start well with the conditions, and like I said, Josh had, and I like the effort. I thought with the wind, with everything, he took one touch, hit it, and it's straight at their keeper, which is the ex-Rotherham keeper, isn't it? I believe.
Do you know, and I tell you what, that keeper is bloody brilliant. Like he's one of the best goalies in the league. But we're now having arguments online, like 10-year-olds about Messi and Ronaldo, about who's got the best goalie. Is it us or Stoke? You know what I mean? Talk about a couple of fighting clowns there.
It's us.
It's defo us, and we'll probably get into it. Chaz Bananas. Bernard gets his first booking. Is the next bit? Is he on crack?
I honestly think his first booking could have been a red. So the fact that he was like, I'll show you who's worth a red card, and just went for it again. I mean, the thing is as well is that we knew the kind of ref we were playing with. If I'd have been him, I'd have kept a good just 5 yards just away from anybody at any given time. Like, he, obviously we'll talk more about it later, but like he's as likely to give something for nothing as he is nothing for something. So I don't know. I think it was a bit clumsy. And I think they were going down
clumsy.
For anything as well.
Is clumsy is for Maywo, falling on his ass in front of a striker who's lively in the box. That's clumsy. That's just idiotic.
It's just silly, a bit tangly, and I think it didn't really need it. I think as well, it was a bit unnecessarily physical for a game that otherwise hadn't been sort of like that. But it's tricky as well, because I think the thing is as well is that having got away with a yellow, he should have really been like, like slapped hand, like, okay, Murray kept it. And then was like, at the next opportunity, I'm going to kind of get myself in an almost identical situation. It's like, that's the stupid bit. Like, you can forgive an initial ridiculous tackle, but then to kind of somehow find yourself in the same situation is really daft. I think it doesn't take away from how great it's been. I did really object to how everyone immediately like piled on him on Twitter. What? It's like, oh, come on. Yeah, it does not undo, like, he's been one of this season's best players, absolutely, and last season. Like, but it is frustrating, particularly because apparently, I don't think I knew this, because it doesn't happen that often. If you get 2 reds, you then miss 2 games. I didn't realise this. So I was like, oh, So he wants Christmas and New Year off, apparently. So
Two reds.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 yellows.
I know.
No, he got a red against Luton. Didn't he?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. And then, it
This
kind of
season.
piles up.
Stretch of
That's
time,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you are. So like that comment said, Ash, he's got Christmas with the fam.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? I thought the ball, it was with the windy conditions. Bannon passed it back to him, but it was up in the air, so it held in the wind a little bit. So it bounced, and he weren't there. And he went for it, and then the guy got it. Yeah, and it was a.
Stevie, I'm going to have to read you what Ash wrote about it. I'm going to have to read you. These are Ash's notes.
No, I'm going to start right, Dan. These were initially just for you because you're.
I know, but I like reading them out because he's talking to me through text that I really enjoy it, right? So, but then I realized that once I just read the note, I then cut to one of you guys, and then it'll be like, well, you've just described what happened there, Dan, you crackhead. Like, you know what I mean? So I thought I'd go to Chaz and then I'd read out what she just talked about, right? So I know, right? Richard Evans there. Yes, Dan, 2 reds, same game, award winning. That's why I genuinely ask. It seemed weird getting 2 reds in a game. Football. 31st, Bannon with the pass back to Bernard that doesn't reach him. Bernard misses it and fouls a Stoke player who was trying to get away towards goal. Stoke fans shout for a red, but I don't know what pot they're smoking. Get it? But it's a yellow all day. Add Charles and Dior for covering. Ref pulls out a card and it's yellow. First booking of the afternoon. They're not smoking potash. You know, this is just internal notes, and he's getting the gags in. After that, Stevie, we had. Hang on. Charles got a booking after that, didn't he?
Oh,
yeah,
he did. Did you not see it? It was the one where they took about 3 corners, and the guy number 12. I don't know what his name was.
The nonsensical handbags in the area.
Oh, unbelievable, stupid! He just fell over, so they retook it. He fell over again, and he booked Charles for absolutely nothing at all. Yeah, and this is where it's snowballing on with the ref, and I'm sure people will comment about. I think now, and when you look on social media after the game, and Wednesday fans and Stoke fans, I think it was just a universal that he was really bad in the fact that nearly incompetence. Yeah, just purely if you look on against Sheffield Wednesday and for Sheffield Wednesday as well, I just think over the board. And we've had him at home before, haven't we? That ref. And I can't remember which game.
Yeah,
was it Watford?
He gave them 2 pens, didn't it? It was all.
He gave the penalty.
Chaotic game.
The penalty against Bernard, the other one, and it just went to
shit.
Hell in a handbag, didn't it? Really. Yeah. I don't think he were great, and we may get to that, but I think there were obviously indications and signs that he was going to lose control of the game, and the Charles booking was probably one of those early ones. I thought just on very briefly on Bernard. I know we've covered it. But
get onto the second one if you want, bro.
Yeah, I just thought I thought it was unlucky. I genuinely do. I thought it was every now and again a player will make a mistake. The first one was a mistake. He's gone to have a look at flicking it out with his right boot. The second one, conditions haven't helped themselves. Helped him in terms of where we are with it. But it's dangled under his foot and he's pirouetted. And all he's done is he's gone to play the ball. And as he's gone to play the ball, he's gone to do it at the same time as the fella coming through, the attacking player coming through. And he's literally caught his boot, his stud has gone into his lace. There was no intent. He's not trying to take him out. It was just the boots have been tangled. The guy's gone down. Yeah, it's a foul. Anywhere else, and I don't think it necessarily would have been a booking. It was just one of those unfortunate things. But he's on a yellow. He's in that area of the pitch. I had no arguments with it being a second yellow card. I just think it was one of those things. I weren't angry with him, and I know that one or two of the lads in the last man standing group have gone, well, why are we applauding him off? I just thought it was unfortunate. I genuinely think it was just unfortunate. It was one of those things that happened, but thankfully, it's worked out for us this week.
Yeah, it was one of those textbook opportunities where the team galvanizes after going down to 10. And I'm quoting off of Ash's notes here, 10 Lords of Leaping.
Nice.
We've gone down. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you see Ash's
Ash. He's great.
He's all right. He's all right. Let's have a look at some comments, Ash, before I get into the second. Half.
Scotch 24, that Charles booking was so daft. The Stoke player fell to the floor from a gust of wind.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Ben said, and I like Ben's profile pic. I mean, I've seen that somewhere before. Not quite sure there, Ben. His cousin is a Blade.
Scandalous.
I know.
Hang on, I'm gonna need the rumor mill
Get it,
video
get
there,
it.
aren't I? Hang on.
The rumor mill.
Allegedly.
Slappy Gilmore's been on. Totally agree with Stevie. I felt the same at the time. So,
So people agree with Stevie Ash. We'll tell you what,
It's
It doesn't
Christmas.
happen often.
ridiculous this.
It's Christmas.
And then it's Christmas. And then Ash has written the conditions are awful. It's not a great half for either team. Stoke didn't offer much, and Wednesday had a couple of chances. And then he followed up with time for a Bovril and warm the cockles up. How warm were your cockles, Ash?
hey, they're all right after me, Bovril, mate. Yeah, well, you know,
Put
I'm
your
at that
cockles
age.
in your Bovril. That's terrible.
Yeah, well, keep them warm. I'm at that age now that it's not that it's bad weather, it's bad clothing, bad planning. So I was proper togged up. I had this hat on. It's really warm. I ain't got heating on. That's why I've got it on now. You know, kids.
Hey, if Ash has got the heating on, it must be bloody cold.
So yeah,
Charlie sat there in a scarf.
I know. We're just it's lean times at the TWW Towers, isn't it, kids?
Right then.
Just
So,
and
come on,
just-
Stevie.
I was just going to say half time, just to bring a bit of sort of what's the word? A bit of balance to the that's the word.
Football.
Yeah, football.
I didn't go into half time thinking, oh shit, we're in trouble here. You know, even though we were down to 10 men, I didn't feel like we were suddenly being overrun. And I thought for large portions of the first half, I thought we were actually the better side, even though, like Dan did the preview show last week, and their fella, as much as doom and gloom as he was, he sort of predicted that they'd have the lion's share of possession. I think they did just edge it, didn't they, in the first half?
Probably, yeah.
But coming out second half, I was a little bit surprised that he made the change that he did with Smudge going off and Otagbeo coming on, and obviously that's obviously switched things about a little bit. I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but and then the first sort of 5-6 minutes of the second half, it was right. We're going to sit in, and we're going to do that stereotypical low block, and we're going to see if somebody can come and break us down. But once we got into our flow, and once we'd sort of neutralised them for that early portion of the second half, I thought we were all right, and I didn't necessarily feel overly stressed about the fact that we were a player down. It didn't look like we were.
I get. Oh, go on.
No, go on, festive, Charlie.
Thank you, Ash. I was just going to say, like, I actually get nervous playing against 10 men sometimes because I think there's a lot to be said for, like, my dad always says, like, if everybody else puts 10% extra in, you've covered it and then some, really. So there's that mentality changes, and I think while obviously it's not great and you wouldn't go, hooray, that's wonderful, there's a lot to be said for that. It focuses you in a different way. So yeah, I think like when we still managed to keep it at 0-0 by, you know, the first 10 minutes? No, not even quite that. I can't think how long it was before the first goal. However long it was before the first goal of the second half, I was like, this.
It's just the early knockings of the second half, though, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah.
You just want to keep in, and it felt
level,
like but it felt like we'd come out, and even though we'd set up the system that we were playing out of possession, I was looking at it thinking, do you know what? We've done this before. We've practiced this in training. This is we've set up here with a manager who has got us prepared for these sort of eventualities. And again, I'm not saying that he'd do that every week against everybody that we play, but Stoke were pretty toothless, to be honest. I thought Cannon offered a threat here and there, but beyond that,
I was going to say about the sub at half time. I was never concerned now because obviously you put all your faith in the manager. But I was surprised because I thought with 10 men, I thought he was going to play it up and Smith hold it up, or do you know, and just try and catch him on the break. Hey, what's up with Stevie? You all right?
Mark Pittsmore-Owl's been on. He's wished us a Merry Christmas. But I tell you what, there's a comment there from Sharman Ash that actually agrees with what he's saying. Says, I was a bit surprised that Smudge went off, but Danny knows his onions and should never have doubted him. So Smith-Idnio goes off, Otagbeo came in, and all of a sudden we looked dangerous, didn't we? It just picked up where we left off.
I think the change, like I said, Smith coming off probably, I don't know, surprised everyone, surprised Stoke. And Yeah, I mean, Otagbeo came on. He did good. I mean, to be honest, he didn't really have a great deal to do. What I thought would be a barrage from Stoke, we didn't. But yeah, the way we set up and we attacked it, and I think that was the thing, weren't it? It wasn't like Steve said we were going to soak it up and everything like that. I thought he actually went for it, and we did look a lot better with 10 in the second half than we did with 11 in the first. I know that's easy to score 2 goals, but it generally did look a better style of play, befitting of playing Stoke and the conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Chaz, let's get to the goal. Very exciting. And I'm going to read you the first sentence of Ash's notes. 52-minute Bannon says, "Why don't you come over, Valerie?" And plays a lovely ball to Jan the man.
Love it. Yeah, it was great. And I'm so pleased for Valerie as well that you could see, like, obviously, yeah, like great for Indas to bag another
He's had a
goal.
stinking fortnight, Jan Valerie.
Yeah, he has, and I feel sorry for him. I'm a big Paul Valentin fan, but I do feel like it's a touch of the benchitis, but it's also a touch of that kind of people will always decide, like, why would we stop pitting powerful men against each other? You know, it's just not right. Like, we can love all equally. You know, all men welcome. And I rate Valentin.
Clip that.
No, don't clip
that.
Next week's intro.
Damn it. Oh, damn it. My own words used against me, like always. But like, I don't think Valerie had done enough wrong to constantly warrant being like the whipping boy a bit. But he's had some rough games, and we don't forgive 2 rough games in a row. We absolutely don't.
No,
like it's like Johnson.
Liam Palmer.
Yeah,
shit game 10 years ago.
Yeah, this is like Johnson. Like Johnson basically had been fantastic, then had a little bit of a rough run, and then it was like, oh, he's terrible, and he's always been terrible since birth. It's, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. But I would say he really needed like a goal contribution. He needed something for everyone to be like, okay. And I really thought it was one of the best games he's had with us. Like he really, especially in the second half, he really opened up. And not to like spoil the discussions later about the goal, but it's clearly a nice little bit of work because it was an almost identical goal later on, like the same kind of play that we'd done. And do you know what? Isn't it really nice when someone crosses the ball into the box? Don't you just love that? I love to see when people just cross the ball into the box. It's one of my favourite things. Often leads to a goal. And it was just really nice and easy. There was, I will take a little tap in. I think Windass almost fell into the net with it.
His shirt,
he sort of was like, and just kind of, yeah, he did. He just, and that's great. Those goals are great. That's so what you need when you're 10 men, you're up against the wind, the ref, everything, your home record, like it's all going against you. And there's something about just like a nice scrappy little tap, great. And it was great. And and Josh really celebrated as well. I thought it was nice. Like, normally he's quite cool in it. And he's quite, but it was like big beaming smile, hey, loving it. And I thought, yeah, Merry Christmas. So yeah, very, very happy with that.
Merry Christmas. Go on.
He's getting a bit prolific, isn't he, Windass?
Since I started slagging him off on the quiet in our group chat, he's been absolutely bloody brilliant. Like, yeah. He was this close to getting a compilation video, but I tell you what, I managed to get over myself and go, sometimes players have shit periods in their careers, you know what I mean? So we're 1-0 up. We weren't under any pressure. Stoke offered very little. They weren't great, were they? And then is it the Bazadonna incident, Stevie? Is it coming up? Yeah. So that they skied one out from about 6 yards, and then the ball gets in, and Barry did one of the best headers I've ever seen, Stevie.
Yeah. Have you seen his Insta? Have you seen his Insta? We've got the graphic. Get the graphic up. Baz's Insta. His comment down there.
Volleyball.
Team spirit got us the 3 points and the odd bit of volleyball. My favourite bit was at the time. At the time, he's run away, and you can see him rubbing his arm, and you can see him looking at his hand, and I'm going to get away from this point in the pitch as far away from it as I possibly can. And it was just so innocuous, but it's just, let's try and play it on as best we can. But it was one of them, weren't it? Things go for us, things go against us, and we've had our fair share of shit over the last few years. And you know, it will balance out at the end of the season. And wherever we end up finishing up, whether we finish mid-table, whether we end up in a relegation battle, whether we end up on the verge or in the mix for a playoff berth or whatever it may be, that one incident is not going to define our season, is it?
No, and people talk about these things evening up over the season as well, even up in the game later.
Even
on.
up in the game, yeah.
Exactly.
I thought it was stupid. I'm going to say that. We won. No. I mean, he's got away with it. But we're 1-0 up. We're cruising, really, and there's no one around him. Beadle would have got the ball when it come over. What's he even doing there? And I know the wind. The wind's probably he's gone for it, and the wind's probably took it or anything. So he's bit, but then he's panicked and put his arm up. But I just thought, why is he even doing that?
But this is the thing. I don't think he's meant to do it. I don't think he's gone right. I'm gonna reach out now and I forgot I'm only 5'3", so I'm gonna stick my arm out instead to try and extend my neck or whatever it may be. He's intentionally gone to head the ball, and I just think it's either impulsive. I don't think it's a fake action. I think he's, without even realizing what he's doing, has put his arm out like that.
Yeah.
I think you know full well that we're doing. I tell you what, the question I've got, and I kind of err on Ash's side on this one. The question I've got about this is, when you see the view from over the top, he's got acres. There is not one person next to him.
No driver.
There is no one in a 20-yard square around that man. What piece of play was happening for this geezer to be stood on his own in his own 18-yard, going, hey, what's your name? Just on his own, just miles away on his absolutely like just. And the ironic thing is, all he had to do was, instead of sticking his arm out and doing this, he could have just gone.
Yeah,
just took a step to his right. You know what I mean? But it was windy and it was blustery. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the second goal, some people are going to try and sell you some things. Okay, so welcome back, Ashley. Let's get to the second goal. Pato has come on. Gassama and Windass were off. Pato and Shabla came on. Let's get the Shabla.
That's right.
Night to remember, Daniel. Come on.
Yeah, there he is. They're gonna make it. Who re-released that?
Daniel, concentrate.
One of your boy band 90.
It was, wasn't it? It was 911, wasn't it? Yeah, good. All right. Ash, talk about football.
Yeah. But I mean, once again, substitutes. I don't think any. I don't know. I mean, not really any say on the substitutes. I think it was good substitutes. Obviously, we won 2-0, so you're going to say it. For Chalobah, I think I'm liking what I'm seeing of him more and more. I know he's not getting that many minutes, and he's only making brief appearances. If that's down to tactical or if that's down to still match fitness, he's missed a lot of football, hasn't he? So I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. I think he's going to be pretty handy for the next half of the season. But yeah, Windass went off after his goal. And then Pato, he's turned into the Marmite man, isn't he? I think he's turning to Marmite man. And I think a lot of people are saying, obviously, what does he offer? Obviously, we've seen what he offers. Goals and a bit of shithousery, isn't it? Yeah, and he took it well. I've got to say, actually, he did take it well. I think Valerie involved on the right again, weren't he? He battled for the ball. I think Charles got loose. Charles took it, hit the byline, and cut it back for Pato to tap it past the Viking.
2 goals coming from across from the byline. And again, I think since Gassama and Musabi decided they weren't going to pass the ball in, Mark, and make an end-of-year montage, talking just with that phrase, just saying, hit the byline and get it in the mixer. You know what I mean? And that's 2 identical goals. There's clearly something working there. It's clearly something they've worked on, and it's shit football. You know what I mean? But I love it. Now, at this point in the game, I was kind of like, this is a really shit game of football. Like, you know what I mean? You've got handball headers. You've got them. They had the double save from Beadle, didn't we? That was straight at him. There was one, and then obviously
I'm not reading these notes very well, are you?
we get to the penalty, and I'm trying to get through it because I was talking about utter shite for the first 10 minutes. So there wasn't a lot going on, wasn't there, in terms of, oh my God, that was brilliant. And you look at Leeds and Sheffield United, unfortunately, the worst two teams to be up at the top of the league, and they're absolutely bloody brilliant. They're playing nice football, and we're managing to scrape through. We seem to be 9th in the league and 3 points off of the playoffs, but we're not doing it convincingly. Is it like, listen, come here. Has anybody else got really significant imposter syndrome of us being in 9th?
No, I ain't got that. But I had this talk with my mate who I go with, and he was like, "We're in 9th without actually pulling up any trees or stringing 90 minutes."
Sign of a good team.
Apart from Plymouth, but I think that's. I think we can just forget that one because they are dog shit. Of 90 minutes of coming out of it, going, we've done really well there. First half against West Brom, 3-0 up, but then we let them back in, and then it was a bit touch and go, weren't it? Luton was, I know we lost, but I think that game was the more complete one that I thought we battered them and should have won. But I don't think we've done 90 minutes, have we, really?
No.
And gone. We've been really well. We've done ours. We've done 60 minutes. We've done the first 20 minutes or something like that. So we are 9th without being so. Not imposter syndrome. I think we're doing really well.
I think if you look at the exception of Leeds and Sheffield United, the quality of this league is shit this year. You know, a couple of years, the year we went down, I thought, or last season, I thought the Championship was a decent quality. I feel like the quality is just not there. There's a lot of crap teams, with the exception of about 4, and we're 9th.
I don't know if right. So if you look at the league, 24 teams in the league. If you take it into 3/8, you've got 1st to 8th. The top 4 teams, them, United, Burnley, and Sunderland seem to be 6 points in front, and then you've got Blackburn, West Brom.
Yeah,
there's a couple of others. Borough. Yeah. That's the top half. That's tier 1. Tier 2 in the Championship is the middle, and then you've got tier 3, which is the bottom 8.
QPR, Plymouth.
Yeah. But QPR have had a kick up. But
even QPR are picking up bloody points.
But if you look at that mid-table, let's be right, and I agree with everything that has been said in terms of we've not pulled trees up necessarily, but the one thing I would say to temper it with a bit of optimism is what happens when we do. And what I would say is the performances are improving. And I genuinely believe that. I think we are getting better. I do. I think if you look at the last 6, and I've got it up, I'm just looking now. We've only lost 1 in the last 6. We've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1 in the last 6. I think it is. Our form guide ain't too shabby. We're not doing too bad, and we're doing it without putting in these performances that we would herald as saying this is an outstanding performance. This is what we've done. We've pulled up trees and we've done this, that, and the other. Players are getting better. Charles is Charles. Beadle's absolutely unreal at the minute. Look at Max Lowe. Max Lowe has dropped into that position, and that sort of we found a position for him within the formation that we're playing. We've got a manager who, with everything else that we may or may not get into based on time tonight, has decided to stick with us. But he's adapting our formations. He's adapting the way that we're playing. He's doing things in terms of setting up against an opposition. It will click, and it's going to get better. I genuinely think it's going to get better. I'm not saying we're going to get in the playoffs. I'm not saying that we're going to end up getting promoted or anything like that. But in terms of style of play and stylistically, I think it's a marked improvement on where we were in October, and I'm really excited about it.
Definitely, we're in development, aren't we? Well, yeah, like we are developing, but we're developing game on game. Like there's that brilliant graphic that they do, where it shows like where you are from like the beginning of the season, and we literally go drop right from the top right to the bottom, and then come up again. And it's the issue is that it's so easy to panic early on when we had 2 or 3 dreadful games. I mean, losing 4-0, then losing 6-0, stuff. That's where you go, oh my God, we've been here before. And like for Stoke on Saturday, the feeling of my team cannot even win against 10 men is scary. Like, and we all know that feeling. It's like, oh my God, it doesn't get better. But equally, we were so kind of optimistic in pre-season that first 4-0 win, it was like, oh my God, we're going to win every single game. We're amazing. And I think we need to realize that 9th is exactly right. If it wasn't for some of our own errors and some refereeing errors, but if it wasn't for our own errors, we'd be 4th. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not about like, oh, we're now one thing, we're now amazing, or we're terrible. It's game on game, and there's a lot of individual improvement happening. Gassama last couple of games, again, he's gone from being the absolute most so frustrating. Suddenly, it's like, oh, okay, things are changing, and you only have to look at where we were this time last year to look at the difference. It's not the finished article, and like Roll is not a perfect manager. There's no such thing as a perfect manager, there's no such thing as a perfect player, but the difference in all of the players individually. I mean, Smith, I think, is the biggest example. Like, look at Smith under Roll. Like, people said he wasn't a championship player, and to be honest, he probably wasn't. He wasn't at the beginning of last season. But what he can do now is unbelievable, and I think it's, and I don't know about anyone else. I'm really enjoying this season, even when things are really. I'm really enjoying it. Like, in order to enjoy your 4-0 wins and your 3-2 comebacks against West Brom and your, taking a Premier League team to penalties in a cup, all that kind of stuff, you've also got to have your 6-0 drudgeons at home. And 9th is like great, but I'd also have been happy with 14th for Christmas. But 9th is amazing. We've exceeded my expectations, but I just think it's just been a good season. It's just a lot going on. It's quite good, isn't it?
It's just fun.
Just things happening.
Let's get through some comments and then tell us about the penner. And then let's move on to talk about the gaffer and the week he's had.
Richard Evans has been on. Let's be honest, Roll, Beadle and Charles are making a massive difference. There's a chance if it's not now, there will be no chance to develop. True that, isn't it? Matt said, last few seasons, 6 teams are all vying for 6 because top 5 run away. Could be 2/3 spots this year, considering how poo Sunderland have been.
Poo.
Well, Matt's a Blackburn Rovers fan, so
that's Matt Thorpe. I was out having a beer with him last night, and I tell you what, today was a struggle.
Burnley and Sunderland also above the rest of the league in quality.
True.
Yeah, and then Ben said, "What's that bloody damn fudge on about?" Which I think that's a lot of people in the comments want to know that. Who knows?
Slanderous.
Neon Brown. Sorry, is late. Ghostbusters was on.
Fair.
What have I missed out?
That is fair. It's weird actually because I got a text message from my mum to the family group chat saying, "Just watching Ghostbusters. It's not as scary as what it used to be," and I wrote it out. And this is growth. And this is the family chat, so like my nephew's doing it and stuff like that. And this is growth on Dan Fudge's behalf. I nearly wrote, "Is that weird fellatio scene still in it?" Because I don't know if you've seen Ghostbusters, but the movie, written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, they've written it, and Dan Aykroyd has gone into a pitch meeting and gone, "Hey, you know what stories I've read that some people have carnal relations with ghosts in the middle of the night. I tell you what, I'm going to put that in the movie where this ghost goes down on me." He put that in his own movie. It's like Quentin Tarantino said, volunteering himself to be to have Salma Hayek's foot stuck in his mouth. The geezer with a well-known foot fetish. He fell on that sword for us. Well done, Quents. Well done, Danny Aykroyd. What are we on about? Let's talk about a penalty.
Not fellatio.
Yeah. The penalty incident. I have not got a clue why he gave it. Apparently, it was a tug on Gallagher by Lowe, was it? But the angles of that I've seen. Is it a penalty? Is it? I think Gassama's were more than a penalty earlier on.
Yeah. He owed him one, to be fair. He was looking for the first chance. He was like, pen. That's pen. Yeah. That's fine. You can have a pen now. You can have a pen.
I actually believe that. And that's how bad the ref was. I actually think he was looking for an incident to give a penalty from the Gassama one.
Right, I don't understand this. This thing that referees do, because he definitely did that. Right, I agree. He definitely tried to even himself up. But imagine being that insecure in what you did by making a mistake, and then the first opportunity you get to balance up proceedings by then making another mistake. That, you know what I mean? Like if you're watching the highlights back and you go, "Hey, that referee made one glaring error," but I must admit, the rest of the game, he did. This referee made 2 glaring errors. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
2 wrongs make a right. That's what they say. Well-known fact.
Dan, we just had a comment from Michael. I'm biased. I'm a Belfast owl, but Shay Charles is class. Hoping we can keep him. But Danny's talking about shagging ghosts. So
Up the shagging ghost. Put that one on. Put that one
UTSG.
Put that one on from Sharman there, because I remember when I first watched this movie. He said, I'd forgotten all about that scene until we sat down with the kids. Very awkward side eyes with the mum. Yeah, you see, everybody forgets about the ghost noshing scene in Ghostbusters. Everybody forgets about it. And I have many a question, and busting makes him feel good.
I tell you what, this podcast,
award-winning podcast.
Charlie,
right?
Yes.
Please
Please don't make me talk about fellatio. Can I talk about football, please? I've already said all men are welcome or some god.
If I made the only girl on this podcast right now talk about fellatio, I would get cancelled more than I have been in the past.
Yes.
Ash, talk to me about this penalty, for God's sake. Get the graphic up.
The non-penalty for me. But yeah, Cannon steps up for Stoke. And it's a right. Where's your stance on penalties? Was it a bad penalty? Because if Beadle had gone the other way, it weren't a bad penalty. It'd have gone in. But he went down low to his left, his wrong side, great save. And you could see when he jumped up the actual passion. And go on then, Steve. What have I said?
It's not the penalty. It's something else, and I'm going to call you out.
Ooh.
And it's coming from a place of love.
Go on then.
The double save beforehand. You know,
we haven't talked about
save.
Yeah.
It was right at him. Come on, man.
So, and this is what Ash literally went on Saturday. Oh, I've looked back and it were right at him. That ball's come in. He's headed it at pace from 6 yards. It doesn't matter where it's gone. He's had to react, hand-eye coordination and reaction time, etc. He's reacted to get his body into position, and then he's reacted again to sweep it off the line. I get that
it weren't off the line. It weren't off the line either.
Of course, it was.
It were about 3 yards off the line. When
the guy has had to lean back and scoop it from behind his head.
I'm going to watch that again.
So on that, go back, watch it. That's a good save. It's a bloody good save. I nearly swore then. It's a bloody good save, and then he's reacted to get the ball out, and then we've ended up knocking it away. In terms of the penalty itself, when we're talking about somebody from 12 yards out, what more can he do other than we've got a lad? It's a one-on-one situation. He's struck the ball. He's hit the target. He's hit it with pace. The guy's gone down low. I think we do sometimes, and I'm not having a go at you personally. Jokes aside,
we're great to save.
I'm not having a dig at you. The good penalties, bad penalties. What more can that goalkeeper do in that situation? There, it wasn't at a height where he was dropping. He was literally on the floor. I thought it was an outstanding save.
Tell you what though, if that had gone in, I'd have been putting him in a compilation video.
I think the difference is if you look at Windas's penalty that got saved, it was lifted. He lifted it, and that's so much easier for a keeper to save. Now, it's really hard to save a pen, and generally you would say, that's one thing we used to say about Dawson is he had an uncanny ability to save pens. It was surprising. Most pens go in. And Windas's pen being a bit poor was mostly because the higher you get the ball, in many ways, the easier, the more mid-level it is, the easier it is to save. Someone like Beadle, the size of him, he's limmy, he's long. The only way that ball was going in is if it was driven fast and low. And I must admit, when I first saw it from the angle, it looked like a shit penner. It looked like Beadle was almost already there before he got it. But actually, from behind the goal, Beadle just does great. He's flat against the ground to drive that out, and it is a hard pen to save because it's so low. Even if you go the right way, chances are
he's a big lad as well. Beadle,
and he is a big lad, and he used that really well because you can see how well he uses his body. I think in not this game, the game before, he came out when he came out to he sort of did like the starfish thing, that so easily can go wrong. But because he's so limmy, like he managed to use that well. But I do think that can almost go against you with a pen, because even if you're there, your skinny little arms, he's going to get past you. So I really did think it was a great save, and it was such an icing on a cake moment as well. You know, for what was a mental game, it was like already what is happening, a sending off, a pen, 2 goals, it's all gone crazy. And then to save the pen, which is something like, is it the first pen he's saved? I feel like maybe. I don't know how many pens we've had go against us this season. I couldn't even tell you.
His reaction though.
Amazing.
Well, by the way, this.
Oh, I'm upset. Literally, the point as well when he was pointing. Like, I love that. I love that.
This is the when we talk about falling in love with loan players and people having an affinity for the club and all of this, that, and the other. I know we talk about Piers Charles and what have you. There's going to be issues when this guy goes.
Everybody's face in that picture is so good, and it was great for him because he
So
just pulled off those good save as well. So it was great for him to have like an extra thing, like to just be so consistently good throughout the whole game was just great.
Don't you rate Piers Charles then, Stevie?
Do I rate Piers Charles?
Yeah, you've just said we're going to have an issue when he leaves. So I don't.
No, I think we're going to have an issue when Beadle leaves. I can't say. No, I like what I've seen of Piers Charles, and I can't say
that, Stevie.
Wait. Shut up. Am I stuttering?
Are we trying to stitch Stevie up on the internet like we kept doing with John?
I'm happy to have a conversation about Piers Charles. I know that Dan's head's going to fall off because we're at 52 minutes, but
yeah, it's going to fall off. Anyway, Sheffield Wednesday came out 2-0 winners against Stoke, and we're going to have to choose our final topic of the evening. Chaz, I'm going to give you the thought process on it. We can talk about Danny Roll's near departure. We can talk about the season ticket prices. We do need to mention them at some point. They have been released. We can talk about that. Or we can talk about another hot topic. Do we recall Bailey Cadamartri in January? Which one would you like to speak about?
Right. No, the answer to your last question. That's all that needs to be said. Let the lad play football. Why bring him back and ruin his life? Absolutely right. That's gone.
Yep. That's the point of a loan, isn't it? The point of a loan
is imagine if we brought him back and he entered like his Ugbo flipping goal drought, and then it was like, oh great, now he thinks he currently thinks he's absolutely mint, and now he thinks he's shit, and we've ruined the young footballer's life.
Why is he sat on bench? We've called him back. He's sat on bench. What are we doing?
Bring him back to old pals. Anyway. Exactly, loanitis. That's what he's got.
Yeah, we'd get more out of him coming back next season with him playing another 20 games or whatever Lincoln is going to play. Then he would have played.
Whoa! We haven't picked this as a topic. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want me to play it now? Do you want me to play it?
Can we briefly touch on the Danny situation, and then we need to discuss season tickets?
I enjoy a brief touch. Crack on.
Cool. So I want to say now, and I can safely say this because I'm not going to jinx anything. I did not think Danny Roll was going to go anywhere. Like no. I was happy to, well, not happy to be wrong, devastated to be wrong. I was never going to be that guy that tweets, no, it's not, you get 700 bookmarks, and then everyone be like, wait, take that. So, but he was never going to go in the middle of a season. I'm not saying that we're not going to be constantly worried about him being poached, but he currently does not have a full season with his under his belt. Like I never saw that, and I certainly didn't think that he was an expensive option. He is an expensive option, which means if he's going to get taken, he's going to get taken by someone that's looking for a big new start, like rather than a halfway through the season. What they don't need. A Danny Roll to come in at this point, who is technically, still in many ways unproven, and just because what he sort of pulled off for us is so completely different to what he'd have to do for them in the Prem. I hate to say it because my views on him, but Chancellor has played a bit of a blinder there. You've got to kind of acknowledge that he's put a great big dollar sign on his head, which has meant that
in a shittier contract than an EE phone contract, Danny. I mean, come on now.
We either make a lot of money from him or we keep him. I wasn't worried about the Hamburg thing to a certain extent because yes, it's like saying I've just found a great job in America and I'm going to go all the way to America, and then a few months later a job in Sheffield comes up, but I've already bought a house and moved my kids out there and moved on out there. I'm not going to immediately go, yeah, you're right, on my way back. I just didn't see it. It's the wrong time. It's the wrong time for him to have gone anywhere.
Imagine a conversation. Alan Southampton rings up DC. Now then, how much is your lad? It's fucking millions. You can't have him. All right, see you later. You know, that's the
Yeah,
conversation,
That's it. That's
right?
exactly it.
So, second division Hamburg, they're going to cough the money up, are they?
They're
Because they're
massive,
renowned
Avid.
for being
Massive.
absolutely cash rich, aren't they?
His family only live half an hour away, and his missus and kids are still there. So that's probably the only thing that really
It's
He's
would have.
uprooted
50
his
minutes on
whole
a plane.
life to come over here. And
No,
I
no,
think
his family's still in Hamburg. Well,
no,
half
he
an hour away.
personally though is like,
personally, yeah.
you know what I mean? And like, and again, like he's a.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at the end of the season we're not going to have all these conversations again. He might get us to a certain point. He may, like a lot of people thought he'd go at the end of last season, like he did his bit and then he'd go on to do something else. But he obviously considers what he's got here a project. Who knows what will happen? And I think we're always going to find that he's a desirable manager that people want. But there was no way that he was going to be like, hey guys, I'm here, sign a new contract. What's that? A club? Sure, I'll go to a club. A club I've been to before. Oh, well, that's all I was waiting for. A club I've been to before, and off I go at Christmas. It was just,
That was shit when I was there as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It was never going to happen.
I'm getting production feedback on the comments here, Ash. Have you seen that? I've got got Matt Strickland, hot topic intro missing there, Dan. He's been on. And then as you were talking, Charlie, Matt Strickland also doubled down with, we all still shit it though, Charlie. We all still shit it.
A little bit.
Matt Thorpe's put a question for the group. What's that? I'm really going to be gutted I've not proofread this, aren't I? Question for the group. When Wendy got promoted to the Prem, when Wendy get promoted to the Prem, which one of you is going on the overlap for the award-winning Wednesday week? You know it's award-winning, right? I don't know if I can be trusted.
Yeah, it's got to be you, Dan. It's got to be you.
Whichever one ticks the most boxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Be one of these two. It won't be me and you, Ash. Coswork. Now, ladies and gents.
Clip that.
Clip that. Ash, let's go through some comments about the Danny situation.
Harpo speaks. He wants playoffs, even if he isn't saying it explicitly.
I agree.
This is a valid question from Jay Blogs. Who in the club saw what they saw in Danny? That's an interesting question because we already binned him off to get Munoz in. We already turned him down once. He was he was the bridesmaid that we've got in, and all of a sudden he's the hot side piece that does all the things on the pitch that the other main girl. What we're talking about? Carry on, Ash. No, but it's a question because obviously we know that it's very lean, isn't it? And I think Chansiri makes all of the decisions, so it looks like it's him. But I'm sure no one wants to really give him much props, do they? So I'm thinking there. I think I put this on. Hamburg was another lazy journo link. Your 100%. Favourite, Daniel?
100%.
And Richard Evans is. Can we have a quick Christmas mention to the chicken sellers on the South Stand? Hope Chansiri's watching. They were amazing on Saturday. I think they managed to make 12 sales in 20 minutes.
I thought I was being genuine.
I thought they were being dead nice.
I was there like, those brave chicken sellers. I was riding for him.
I turned up late, and I've got to be right. I've got to tell you that chicken is decent, to be fair. But
good for
I rocked up. It's tucked right down at Cop End of the South, and honestly, I went in there. There must have been 4 queues, about 17 deep, and I was like, I just want some chicken, and I must have joined every queue. Stop it, Daniel.
No, I'm gonna burst. I
joined every queue and stood there for 30 seconds each, and realised I weren't shifting. I thought, if I'm going to stand and get some chicken. I'm going to miss the football. So I ended up walking away without any chicken. I got no chicken. I'm disappointed I didn't get any chicken.
So have we decided then that the last bit of the
hot topic
is season tickets?
See, oh God, here we go. I think Stevie stitched me up here.
Let's be. I have.
This is let's be serious because this is a pretty serious subject, isn't it? Really.
There's a graphic on when you're ready as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in traditional fashion, At the worst time of year, Sheffield Wednesday have announced phase one of their season ticket renewals and their prices. One of the most notable changes was the changes to the concession bracket that the normal or usual 45% discount didn't apply. There's not been a huge change to the prices, but there's also been some links tied back to the EP group in terms of them volunteering this information to go, hey, you should charge this lot more. And Chancery's gone, that's a cracking idea. Like that. That's how it happens. That's how it works. You know what I mean?
Let me just stop you there. It wasn't the EP panel. It was a member of the EP panel.
True.
So let's clear that up.
Okay. Now, Jesus, Stevie stitched me up here. Okay, so we were discussing what we were going to talk about today, Chaz, and I said, do we talk about the season ticket renewals? And I said, I've got some pretty wild views on it, and I'll end up getting cancelled. So Stevie, as I was driving back from work tonight, went, I'll get some graphics sorted for you tonight, Dan. And he's had this bad boy ready. It's the season ticket prices, right?
Yeah.
You should have put warning up, Dan, first to scare everyone.
Yeah. Go back behind the settee. Now, in terms of raises and all the rest of it, there's not been a significant raise in terms. Ash, do you actually know the figures? It's like 5-10 quid per area, isn't it? The most expensive one on that graphic being £630 for the South Stand for a season ticket. But the big contentious talking point that we've seen on X this week has been the change in the concession prices. And the reason that Stevie stitched me up, I'm going to have to fart around the poo now for the next 2 minutes, so just indulge me. The one person that suggested it in the EP panel, I thought actually knows his onions. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but you're going to have to bear with me. So if you look at the generations that we're in, Stevie and Ash, we belong in the what you call Generation X, right? We're in the ones where we had an analog childhood, and it wasn't till we were 18, 20 did we have to learn how to do computers and that. Analog childhood, digital adulthood. It's a really weird little group to be what they call an exennial. Chaz, you're a millennial, a much maligned group of people that will probably never own property. And the reason that these groups, Generation Z, Generation Y, and millennials won't own property is because of the current crop of, brace yourself, 65-year-olds. The people that were in the children of the post-war boom. People born in the 60s, people who hit their 30s and 40s during the 90s, where their career has taken off prior to the house prices falling to shit in 2008, prior to when house prices cost 6 times your salary, they only cost 3. That generation of 65-year-olds has all the money. And because we're 40-year-old men, we perceive pensioners as being old Doris counting out her change at the corner shop trying to get a last pack of fags that ironically cost £1.50 back then. I'm just going to get some bits. That's the way we perceive pensioners. And it's not like that anymore. However, having said that, and I know that there's people out there now going, fucking hell, Fudge, what you're talking about? And I'm going to say it aloud. Your personal experience doesn't dictate what the actual facts are. And I appreciate you're all going to have a story about my nan's got this and she has to rent this council house. And I appreciate there's probably loads of people out there. But that generation on the whole is why... What's that? Said Dan pretending he's not 60. That generation on the whole is why properties are so expensive, because they've got all the generational wealth. Now, having said that, our ticket prices are high anyway. They're the highest in the league, and we're not getting rewarded for the money that we pay. So any kind of hike, any kind of upping of the ticket prices, I feel would have already come with backlash anyway, because we're already paying high ticket prices, and we are in the 21st out of 22nd poorest per GDP city in the UK. In the area of the UK. We are not an affluent area in South Yorkshire. And so to be paying the level of prices that we are, I think it is disgusting, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is I can see why the over 65s were identified as the people that should be paying the money. Did I make that point without enraging half of Sheffield?
Probably not, because I think half the fan, or most of the fan base just doesn't matter what concession, what bracket, what anything, any sort of rise of any ticket is just not. Doesn't matter. I know the reasoning behind what you're saying, Dan, but I just think any sort of increase was.
It was any sort of increase would already, cause some kind of uproar, and rightly so. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Go on,
I
Chaz.
don't
You've listened to
disagree with you,
patiently.
Dan. On a societal level, I do know what you mean, and I do think that there's a whole separate conversation about sometimes the way that like concessionary things are done broadly across the board. Is there are some, there are some. I think the difference for me is when there's two things that come to mind for me. The first is it's no one fan group's responsibility to take the hit for another group of fans.
No, it's
like
not.
the idea that it's like, oh well, actually,
Correct.
if you charge these guys a bit more now, it'll even out for everyone else. It's like that's really unfair, and it's pitting people against each other. And it's like when I think about my dad, yeah, my dad has more money than I do, but he also, from a football perspective, has put 30 odd years into the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there's an element. I'm not saying like, and let's be honest, how many brand new 65-year-old Sheffield Wednesday fans are coming along and getting their season ticket? Like, let's be honest, the vast majority of the over 65s are the ones that have been there through the shit.
I got caught up in my own bullshit, and that is a wonderful point.
You are right. You are broadly right in that. Yes, there's a lot to be said about like wealth divide across generations, but I think it's from a football perspective, I do think it's different. And I think the most upsetting thing about the whole thing is the idea that the you've got the chairman in front of you and you've got the opportunity to advocate for fans. And your idea of advocating for fans is to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. I hate that. I hate that. I think that's awful. Like, I'd rather you said, I don't know, let's I don't know, I can't think of a better example. Like, better to be like, why doesn't everything just become a bit cheaper, or maybe just make the more expensive tickets a bit cheaper? Something like, even that would have been less offensive than the idea of like, what if this group now pays more to mean other people don't have to pay more? It just doesn't quite make sense. The 64-year-olds pay like a bit less than, so the 65-year-olds pay a bit more. It just doesn't, and it didn't sit right with me, and no increase will sit right with me. I think we all expected the increase. I just don't think that any, I just, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think, loyalty is never rewarded, but it should be rewarded in football. It absolutely should. Hence why brand new people getting into football, like kids, their tickets are also cheaper.
Well,
as they should be.
That's interesting you've said that, because Sheffield Wednesday announced that their kits are available on Roblox, and all the middle-aged millennials have kicked off about it. Like, it ain't for you, lads. It ain't for you. It's for the kids. It's for the kids. It's also, like the Light Show and Aussie Owl. It's not for you. It's all right.
To get statty about it, over the last 10 years, the average age of a football fan has gone up about 15 years.
Because they can afford it.
Because they can afford it. And there is an element of that. So to balance it out, there is a real element of that. But that's not exclusively the over 65s. That's just in general, there is a 15-year increase on the average fan, which suggests that overall, like, people can't afford to bring their kids, younger people can't afford to go. But it doesn't suggest that, like, it's exclusively over 65s that are going. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't, yes, people who are older, people who are middle-aged and beyond, potentially. But I think if you would look at it, like, if you look at like the average audience for like a play, for example, we have a much older audience. We know that the vast majority of our audiences are concessionary prices. So you could argue, well, if we want to make a bit more money on our play, we put the concessionary prices up. But how does that reward the loyalty of our continued audience members who come every single time? We also fill the seats with over 65s, therefore we can guarantee their bums on seats and their money. It's the younger people we're trying to get in, and we're trying to, get their money, as it were, get their bums on seats.
Chaz, that was fucking brilliant. You are absolutely spot. I have got
on behalf of 65-year-olds everywhere. I would just like to say.
So there you are. Danford says you've got all the money. Stop hoarding it and being landlords. And Chaz says, "Nah, bring them to the football. Let's have a fight."
Hang on. Don't click that.
What I can remember from the meeting as well, that the guy who obviously advocated for this, what he came at as was that Sheffield Wednesday gave the biggest proportion of discount for concessions compared to everyone else in the league.
Yeah.
So what he basically said is instead of going, let's bring the adult price down to meet that, he thought that instead of giving, I think it was 45%, just make it 40% or 35%. So obviously, yes, increasing their tickets, but it's all good. We look at season tickets at other clubs, don't we? The highlight is what's the most expensive ticket at Norwich, Sheffield United, Wednesday. Obviously, we're up here. But he was looking, well, if you're going to do that, then look at the gap between the adult and concession and close that rather than thing. And I think, I think that's where his thinking was in the meeting. But I was just none.
We're already paying enough tar.
Yeah.
Prices anyway. I think if you kept everything just bang what it was for the first phase last year, but then one of the biggest things is, well, they're on sale tomorrow and you've got 2 weeks to pay.
Yeah, that's
pure
despicable.
insanity to me. And that got brought up, I believe, when I read the minutes.
It doesn't matter if you'd have said, oh, well, we're going to take 30 quid off. So instead of 460, it's 430. But you've still only got 2 weeks at Christmas to do it. Yeah. So yes, we've lowered them for you, but you're going to have to do it next week. So I think keeping the adult prices what they have and shafting the concessions, which is not right at all. But I think that one of the biggest things for me was the ransom holding of you really need to do it now. Or if you, after the 3rd of Jan, I think it is, the second phase, you would call it, is 40 quid more a ticket or something daft like that. So if you're buying 4 for a family, nearly 200 quid, isn't it?
Christ.
So I think that's one of the biggest things, that yes, the prices are extortionate, but the window for you to think is, and you know why? Because he needs the cash flow, he needs it in. And if he gives you a month, to pay it, not everyone, because I bet there were people knocking on the door at 9 o'clock in the morning the first one, but it gives the opportunity for everyone to pay on the last 2 days. I always pay my tax on the last possible day, of course I do.
Oh, Maurice Stewart's on your shit every January.
And everyone should, because more money in your account, the longer. But he doesn't. He wants the money in now. So you have to do it in that window rather than have till the end of January, just say, and pay it on the 30th of Jan. Do you know what I mean?
But that window is so small, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and that's the issue. That's the issue for me. And we could get into a whole existential thing, and I don't want to add to anything that Charlie's articulated pretty much perfectly. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that's been said, but we're literally we're opening up a 2-week window for everything. From a business point of view, from a business model, what are we doing when we're saying, right, we need to do this now to get this cash flow, this injection in at this point? It doesn't make sense, and that's my frustration. Yeah, and
it's all a bit immediate, isn't it?
And there is.
Sorry, Stevie, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say there's a whole almost existential conversation to be had there around, you could pull in the whole, right, is Rule leaving or is he staying? Is he staying because we've got this? And what assurances has he been made in January? And there will be 150,000 people on Twitter going, right, Rule's staying because he's got this war chest to spend in January and the reality is that absolutely is not going to happen. We are not selling season tickets in a 2-week window so Danny Rule can go and buy a £3 million player in January. That's not what we're doing here. And people are talking about it like that's something that's going to happen. And it just makes me want to go.
No, I think that these phase of season tickets, the black shirt, the really successful orange shirt, the way that they stripped that in, that was to pay for
25-26, the 25-26 season as well, by the way.
There's all that. And that was to pay for EK Ugbo, who's not scored in 24 games, but we're not talking about that anymore.
It's been a week since you've had him as an agenda item.
Yeah.
Wrap it up, Ash.
I was just gonna ask you, how many tickets do you guys think will be sold in these 2 weeks? So if you average out the adult tickets, it's about 520 quid, over the 4 stands and that. So take an average of 520. How many tickets do you think people will renew in these 2 weeks?
Thousands. But
Probably
it's the same thousands that would do
7,
it.
8K.
They do it on the 25th of December. It's the same. Yes. I don't know, 8,000, let's say, just to pull a number out. It's the same 8,000 that could afford it on the.
It's the same people that means to do
January.
It.
It's the same people.
Over 65.
It's the 64-year-olds. Thank you very much. And I think it's whoever can do it will always be able to do it. And the 40 quid, the 80 quid that it could go up by will never affect that middle group, I think. What it definitely puts off is families being able to do it. It definitely, and the thing is as well, is that like if you do it even a month earlier, people might get season tickets or like half season tickets or like they might get things like that for Christmas presents. It's like us putting Christmas cuddly toys in the shop 2 days before Christmas. What's the point?
Yeah,
who's going to buy it at that point?
No, Terry said that even if they waited a bit, January's pay packet could have paid for it, like that way round. But then the transfer window's closed. We can't live this hand to mouth.
It's
you know,
shit business.
pay your rent
business.
on payday type of nonsense. Like you're living on your last tenner like a student for the remaining 27 days in the month. Listen, Matthew Moore's written there. It's the boomers. It is. They've got all the money. They've got it all. And if you're looking at your 65-year-old dad going, Christ, he's not got a pot to piss in. We've got it worse. You stole all the. I could get into it.
I'd love some piss. Clearly,
I'd love some piss.
We ain't even got piss right now. We have to rent piss. We can't even buy it. That's how hard up we are.
Okay, listen, let's wrap it up. Have we got anything else for any other business? We had our raffle winner mascot stepped out onto the pitch. We still not had any pictures from that, other Ash, have we?
No, we haven't. I have heard from him. He said the little one, Bobby, had a fantastic time. What a day. So he's made up and he had his little full kit on and all that sort of good stuff. So, yeah, so he had a good time. So, yeah, thank you for everyone that bought a ticket. And really appreciate your support. It's been great. Thanks.
Does anybody else have any other business? Chaz, do you play Roblox?
I don't play Roblox now. Even I'm not that cool. I know. I'm sorry.
I genuinely thought you would.
Are you on it, Stevie? Are you all over that? Are you?
No, the kids are.
Yeah, the kids are.
What's Roblox?
I don't know. Right? There's a few of these phenomenons happen over time, right? Kids get associated with. So, for example, when I was a redcoat at Butlins a quarter of a century ago, everybody was obsessed with Pokemon, right? At the time, I could name like 50 of them, and because I was working in and around kids, I kind of learnt about it. But then afterwards, we've had something like Club Penguin. Don't know what that is, but apparently people used to be rude to each other on it. And then now there's Roblox, and I don't know what that is. Which is why I've not offered an opinion on the tweet that the club put out saying that Sheffield Wednesday kits are available, because it's not for me.
No, it's not for me either. I don't even know what it was.
It's not me. I'm not the boss. But seeing as we're on AOB and we're winding down, Dan, wish everybody a happy Christmas.
Yeah.
We had Santa on. What more do they want? And I've got this little fella here. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. This is our last one of the this side of Christmas. So I genuinely hope you have a good Christmas. I hope there's plenty of pigs in blankets, because let's be honest, they are the best thing about Christmas. Let's hope we get on the Jaeger bombs at 10 a.m. And let's see how many of you I see at Borough. Ash, we're going to Borough, aren't we, on Boxing Day?
Well, we're on the fun bus, so it'll be beers from 9 o'clock.
We're on the banter bus, lads.
I'm going. Can I catch you with Molly?
Of course you can. As long as she brings me some kind of device and showing me what Roblox is. Deal. All right, listen, I hope you have a great Christmas and I hope you have a great time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it's been a hell of a year, hasn't it? Woo! Are we doing one next week? What's the date? Is it day before New Year's Eve?
Yeah,
I can wish you a new year then. Have a good Christmas. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday Week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.